Hello, everybody. This is Art Garrett again, and thank you for joining us here on Facebook. I'm sitting here with my good friend Chad Judice, and we're going to talk about an event, a really special event that we have coming up on Tuesday, May 8th at 7 p.m. A little wine and cheese and a presentation by Chad and his new book. As you can see behind us here, Growing with Eli. But I'm going to let Chad tell you a little bit about himself and maybe what was the inspiration of his new book, but also a little bit about the first two books that he's written. Chad, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Art. Thanks for having me, and thanks for hosting the event. I really appreciate it.
Very welcome.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Chad Judice. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm also a theology teacher at St. Thomas More Catholic High School and an award-winning author and a national Catholic speaker. I've had the privilege to tour the country over the past 8 or 9 years, sharing this story with about over 100 audiences in close to 17 states. My son Eli was diagnosed with a birth defect in utero, and about 80% of the people that receive that diagnosis choose abortion. And Ashley and I chose to pray for a miracle. And the story that unfolded from that decision is what inspired me to write Waiting for Eli. And what I really learned in one sentence from Waiting for Eli was that he is God, I am not. And how big God is and how small I am.
We are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And then when I began to share that story around the country, that inspired Eli's reach, because I would get unsolicited responses from people who had come across the story or read the book in a moment in their life where Eli had become an instrument that God had used to make his work and presence in their lives and the lives of other people more visible to them.
Right.
And I shared that story there. And I think we can all be instruments that God can use in those moments to make his presence and work in the lives of others visible to them. But I think there's a group of people who are capable, willing, and more usable than others. And I think special needs kids are those people. And I think that story in Eli's Reach really exemplifies that. And then after writing that book and reflecting for a while, I realized that a part of the story was missing. And the part of that story was my journey.
Your journey, yeah.
And everybody thinks Waiting for Eli and Eli's Reach is, my story. It's not. This book really is about how I grew as a man, as a husband, as a father, and as a teacher, while Eli grew and I fathered him. And it even goes back before I had Eli and kind of spans both books. It kind of straddles them, brings you back to where Chad Judice was in his infancy as a Christian and as a Catholic, and how God has fathered him and brought him into spiritual adulthood.
Now I understand the book had a couple of title changes, right?
Yes.
What was the first title that you just absolutely loved?
Yeah, this is kind of frustrating for me. We had to change the title 2 or 3 times. The first title was Real Men Pray, the conversion of a cradle Catholic.
Okay.
Then it kind of evolved into the Confessions of a Cradle Catholic, a father transformed by grace. And I was kind of inspired by St. Augustine. I'm not comparing myself to Augustine in any stretch of the imagination, but a lot of people in the faith today struggle with the same things in their humanity that St. Augustine did, and I did as well. So his story and his journey really resonated with me, and I was inspired by the Confessions. So I wanted to make my confession.
Gotcha.
And then I wanted to try to find a way, and so did my publisher, to tie it in with the other 2 books. And certainly my growth and my confession as a man, husband, father, and teacher all comes from an experience with my son.
Sure.
So it evolved into Growing with Eli, our journey into life and light. So it's our family story and my story, but it's told through my eyes.
Cool. I noticed you got a 2 thumbs up from Cardinal Seán O'Malley.
Yes.
Tell about that. How did that happen?
Been very fortunate, as I said, to travel the country and meet a lot of awesome people. I had a chance to speak to some pro-life directors at the USCCB conference, and I happened to befriend the one who was in the Archdiocese of Boston, who had a connection to his secretary. And that journey started about 3 or 4 years ago when the book started, and we kind of worked over a couple of years getting in the original manuscript. He read it and some of the tinkered stuff in the new one. And I had an event in Boston that I spoke at in October of 2017. And when I got to go on the trip, he handed me the endorsement when I got there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, again, we want to invite everyone to come out to our special event on Tuesday, May 8th. That's Mother's Day week. It's at 7 p.m. here at the store. We'll have wine and cheese. Chad's going to give us some little presentation about maybe one or 2 of the chapters that are in the book. But come out and meet this fine gentleman with his family and share an evening with us here at Acadian Religious and Gift Shop. So thanks for watching, and share this on your page, and come on out and see us on May 8th at 7 p.m.
See you there.
Thank you.